Hello YouTube. Today I'm bringing you 10 more life-changing ideas. The previous video was labeled 10 profound ideas to change your life, I think. And I don't know, it just didn't sound that catchy, so I just changed it to 10 life-changing ideas. So it's technically the second installment of this series. And I think you'll quite like these 10 ideas in this video. And so the first one is, just because something is hard to get doesn't mean it's valuable. It's extremely hard to be a millionaire, to be a billionaire. Like, you gotta have some intentionality, right, in order to reach that level of wealth. But just because it's hard to achieve doesn't mean that it's actually valuable. Right? Think about all of the millionaires and billionaires who, at the end of their lives, their biggest regret is not working as much. Right? They could have stopped, but they didn't. They just kept on going. They just kept on working, kept on building their wealth. And they regret doing that. They thought it was valuable to them, but in the end it wasn't. And so, how many things are you doing that are hard, but aren't valuable at all? Right? It's like, I tie this to Pareto's law. And so, Pareto's law is basically, you get 80% of the results from 20% of the work. It's the 80-20 principle. Right? In every organization, 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. 20% of the study you do gives you 80% of the results. And so I akin this to doing something hard, because doing something hard is basically taking the extreme. It's going from 90% to 100 of a task. But is that really that valuable? Like, you can get 80% of the results, right? Is it really that valuable to get 90 or 100% of the results? Now, for some things it might be. For others, probably not. Good enough is probably good enough. Do you need to score an absolute perfect on every single exam? Or even most exams? Probably not. Do you need to get a perfect score? Do you need to get into the best college? Probably not. These are all hard tasks that we think are valuable, but when we truly dig and truly think about it, they aren't as valuable as they first appeared. Number 2 is, you can't control attraction. And the most extreme example I go to with this is with pedophiles. Because if you are someone who is sexually attracted to kids, that's not something you can change. It's like saying that, oh, you're gay? Yeah, just change and be heterosexual, Just be straight. It's like, that's not how it works, Fundamentally, your brain chemistry is different so that you are attracted to certain things. And, at least so far, you can't change it. Right? If you're attracted to kids, you can't change that. Now, acting on it is completely different, right? Acting on those desires and urges is what's completely different, right? If you act on it, you are a pedophile, alright? And so, getting away from the extreme angle, one thing is, you can't control who you're attracted to, and you also can't control who is attractive to other people. If you're asking a girl out, right? You can't control if they're actually attracted to you. They're either attracted to you or not, and you simply can't control that. And when you truly internalize that, when you truly believe that you can't affect their attraction towards you, you get this mentality that the result doesn't matter to me, and so I will just go ask her out. It doesn't matter. She either likes me or she doesn't. And it's especially in cases where there's a maybe. She tells you, oh, maybe, can we just be friends? It's the maybe and not the distinct answer that drives us crazy, that makes us hope. I'm not saying hope is bad, but in this case, you need a direct answer. You need a yes or a no, right? if you take a middle answer, that is going to give you anguish. That is going to make you suffer because you desire the yes. And she's really saying no, but she's telling you maybe. And so she's trying to not hurt your feelings by driving it in towards more of the middle. But because she's not saying no, you're being hurt even more. And so one thing is that I think that we should be grateful for the women who tell us no, just who straight up reject us, because it's a clear answer. It's a clear answer of, I'm not attracted to you, I'm sorry. And that gives us closure, that lets us move on. You know, it's during the cases where you're attracted to a girl but you don't ask her out that drives you absolutely crazy, because you don't know her answer. You don't get a yes or a no. And that drives you absolutely bonkers. Until you ask her, of course. Unless you don't. I mean, you could just not. But if you do, the anguish will disappear. You'll get your answer. Number 3 is the Zeigarnik Effect. And so the Zeigarnik Effect is basically, you have an impulse to finish things. And if things are unfinished, you get an impulse, an itch to just finish it. And so this is one way you can sort of hack your productivity. And the Zeigarnik Effect basically plays on open and closed loops. It's sort of the same thing with my previous example with attraction and getting rejected. If you haven't asked a girl out, right, it's an open loop. It can be a yes or no, or maybe it can be anything. It's an open loop. But if you get an answer, now it's a closed loop. Now you're satisfied. And so relating this to productivity, right? Let's say you're working on an essay. You can increase your productivity. You can increase your drive to work on that essay by having opened loops. Now this could be basically just not completing a sentence. You know, you can literally write up to a certain point, and then you finish that sentence, and then you delete the period, and you delete the last word, and then you leave. Right? And it's going to feel so irritating and just annoying that you just I really want, this is so annoying. And that's the entire point. Right? It's the entire point is to drive you to desire almost to finish that. Right? Because the next day, if you just finish that sentence, you'll already be working on the essay, and you might as well just keep working on it. And so you can do this with so many things. Just leaving things half finished will actually help your productivity because of this open loop / closed loop system that your brain has. Number 4 is Parkinson's law, and it's another thing with productivity. And Parkinson's law is work expands to fill the time allotted. So that basically means that however much time you give yourself to finish a certain project, you will take up the entire time. And you see this all the time, right? You get 2 weeks to write an essay, you procrastinate for 1 week, and then you think about doing it, and then you procrastinate for another 4 days, and then you actually start doing it the day before, right? I think almost everyone has gone through these phases of procrastination, and this is playing off of Parkinson's law. Right, you're given 2 weeks to do it, but you don't use the 2 weeks. Rather, you've literally finished it in 2 days. But those 2 days are at the very end. Because you think at the start, right, this is just an essay, I can do it later. Right? And that's Parkinson's law. Now, if you were to instead give yourself only 2 days to finish it, and it's those 2 days that are after the announcement of that project, if you only give yourself 2 days, and you really make sure that after 2 days, I'm just not going to work on it. Right? After 2 days, I'm turning it in, and I'm not looking back at it anymore. And if you really believe that, you can hack your own psychology to finish it in 2 days. And if you combine Parkinson's law with the Zeigarnik Effect, you'll desire to do that project, and 2, you'll be extra compelled to think about it and to start it. So those 2 are just pretty great if you want to be super productive. Number 5 is, I already touched on this, but it's, I wish I hadn't worked so much. And it's one of the most common regrets when people are on their deathbed. I wish I didn't work so much. I wish I did other things but work. And it's a common regret because so many of us will end up spending like a third of our lives or even more simply at work, when what truly gave us fulfillment was time spent with our kids, time spent with our spouse, time spent with family, time spent doing our hobbies. And I think in Western countries we sort of glorify working, or that just might be certain places in certain countries. But anyway, a lot of people regret working too much. And I'm not saying that you should be completely hedonistic and have tons of casual sex and take drugs and all that stuff, right? I'm not telling you to do that, because that doesn't give you fulfillment either. It's just like work. It's just a different medium, right? You're obsessively working versus you're obsessively taking drugs, pursuing pleasure. It's the same thing, essentially. It leads you nowhere. It doesn't give you fulfillment. What gives you fulfillment is spending time with people, doing your hobbies, spending time with nature, and learning. These are the things that we should be spending more time on, because it's the things that will actually give us fulfillment. Number 6 is, books are way more valuable than any other informational resource. Let me say that again. Books are way more valuable than any other informational resource. No article will have the depth that a book does. It will only stick to shallow waters. Hence, no one ever became wise from solely reading articles. And you can think about this. Every successful person reads books. Every single one. Now, it may be that every successful person is a nerd, but I doubt that. And you have to wonder, what is the reason then? Why do all these successful people read tons and tons of books? It's because books are literally the most valuable medium of information that you can absolutely consume. Why? Because the amount of time it takes to write a book, the amount of information and depth that an author goes to, the amount of work an author puts into a book is incomparable to any article. To any article on the internet. The amount of information you get from a book is incomparable to any article from New York Times, any article from the Washington Post, any news media, any TikTok video, any YouTube video. Books are the most condensed form of knowledge that you can get. At least at the current moment. Who knows? We might make a new medium that is even more condensed, just directly pumping information into our brains.
I know Kung Fu.
Besides the information overload, that'd be kind of cool, honestly. But then we'd probably be more cyborgs-ish. But anyway, at the current moment, books are the most information-dense medium there are. Hence why every successful person reads books, because it has the biggest ROI, or return on investment. And if you're using the excuse that you can learn more you can learn more from YouTube videos, you can learn more from TikToks, you're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong of thinking that you can learn more on TikTok, on 60-minute shorts, on YouTube videos, on news articles, on news media. No. Books are the most valuable source of information. Number 7 is, you won't get today back. And this is sort of just trying to get you more in the present. The present is now. You can't get the present back. The present is always in this current moment. And literally when you are thinking about the present, you're actually thinking about the past, because the present that you're thinking about has already passed. So you're technically thinking about the past. It's very confusing, but you basically literally can't even think about the present because you are living the present. Whatever you're thinking about is either the future or the past. You can't think about the present. And so with this, I want to remind you to be in the present, to experience life in the present, to be in the moment. Now, currently, you're watching this video, I'm assuming. And if so, pay attention. Be present to this video. Stop playing video games on the side. Stop watching another show. I want to say stop working on homework that you're doing right now, but most likely the homework is more important because you procrastinated it. So I would then tell you to close the video. Close the video and do your homework. And then come back. Alright, I'll be fine with that. Or stop doing your homework and focus on this video. Be present. Live. And actually experience life. Be in the moment. Because you won't get it back. Well, you can't ever get it back. It's not just like you can't get today back. You can't ever get today back. After today is gone. After this moment in time, it's gone. And literally, as I've said that, the moment was gone. Number 8 is strong convictions loosely held. And what this means is basically you believe certain ideas. You believe them somewhat strongly. But you're ready to completely flip it on its head. If new evidence arrives and your thoughts are completely wrong, then alright, I was completely wrong. And I'll update now. It's having strong convictions loosely held that allows you to be the most adaptive, allows you to be the most intellectual. It allows you to be basically the smartest person in the room because you're the dumbest, in a sense. Because you're always open to learning more, to rewriting what you know. For example, if someone literally told you that, if someone literally proved beyond a shadow of doubt that it's like gravity was actually false and you know what, the earth is flat. Now, I think most of us would be like, you're fucking crazy, bro. Now, in this hypothetical scenario, strong convictions loosely held means that you look at the evidence and you update. You say, alright, gravity is actually false and the earth is actually flat. Now, that may seem like hysterical and like completely just crazy, but that is what it means. And that is the hallmark of an intellectual. That is the hallmark of someone who is willing to change, who is willing to grow, who is willing to learn and become better. Because you can't change, you can't grow better if you aren't willing to update your beliefs, if you aren't willing to change, if you aren't willing to adapt. This whole thing with change, right? If you don't accept change, you can't change. Now, if you do accept change, you can. Number 9 is perfect is the enemy of good. This is a quote by Voltaire. And so this really speaks to any sort of like project, any sort of essay, any sort of like book you're writing on. And certainly I've felt it, right? It's like I want to perfect this thing to the max. But at some point, you just gotta release it, man. At some point, it's just good enough. And this goes back to the idea I said before, which was like, what is hard may not always be valuable, right? It's like, perfect is not an actual thing, right? Perfect is this mythical thing that is extremely hard, that is actually not even extreme, it is impossible to reach. And yet we think it's so valuable, but it isn't. It's actually hindering what we want to do. Because if you're always striving for perfect, you'll never get there. It's an asymptote, right? It's like you start off just absolute shit, and then you spike, and it becomes good, and then becomes really good, and then you slowly gain more. It slowly gets better, like 1%, then 0.1%, then 0.01%, then 0.001%, and just slowly creeps up more and a little bit more. The thing is, you'll never get to perfect. And because of that, if you never release it, if you never submit it, it will never fruition. it won't even exist, because if you don't submit it, you don't get a grade. If you don't publish it, no one will know about it. And so perfect is the enemy of good. Because for most things in life, good enough is good enough. And I want to leave you with this final idea. And so this final idea is basically just a long-ass quote that I took from an email list I'm part of. And it's, here is a list of things that are not doing the thing. Preparing to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Scheduling time to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Making a to-do list for the thing isn't doing the thing. Telling people that you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Messaging friends who may or may not be doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Writing a banger tweet about how you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on yourself for not doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on other people who have done the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on the obstacles in the way of doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Fantasizing about all the adoration you'll get once you do the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading about how to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading this essay isn't doing the thing. The only thing that is doing the thing is doing the thing. And this entire quote is by Strangest Loop. And it's so true, right? It's like, it's taking all of our neuroses and just pointing at what we are doing. It's like, all of this that we're doing is not doing the thing. We are just procrastinating. And so I implore you to honestly just search this up. Strangest Loop, not doing the thing essay, or something about around those lines. You know, just like reading this a lot. And therefore learning to recognize when you're not doing the thing. Because when you're not doing the thing, you're not doing the thing. Alright? So to expand this, in Alex Hormozy's words, instead of spending time getting in the mood to work, just start working. Confront the work. Because people think they need perfect conditions to start, when in reality, starting is the perfect condition. You simply need to start. And so with that, go do the thing. And I'll see you next time.